Please raise your hand if you are back. Okay, Angela and Caleb. Jocelyn, Angela. Are you here?
Chris,
Yeah,
do you
Eric.
mind if I go get some water really quick, please?
Sure, yeah. Jocelyn, are you here? Okay. So when you start a question, okay, I'll repeat one more time, right? When you start a question, you identify what kind of basic we are dealing with, right? For the first question, the first try is a radical, right? Once you see, oh, we have a radical form, you got to leave the radical there. Don't make it square and get rid of it, right? Keep it there. And then, so that's first thing, right? Identify the basic. And then you start to moving, okay? Anything that's movable to the y side, anything that's outside the square root, you got to move it over. And if there's number beside the variable, you got to move it under, okay? You gotta keep it clean. The x has to stay by itself. The y stay by itself. Once you've done that, we get a story form, okay? Once you got story form, you're halfway done, right? You just write down the story for it according to the story form. So because at school, they don't have the story form, okay? They want you to tell R and S just looking at the question. So sometimes you might get it wrong and then say horizontally expand by 5, okay? Horizontally compress by 5, all right? So you got to move it over, move things, so then you use the right number when you do the description. Okay, so let's try the second one. Please turn this into story form first. Okay, and then write down the R and the S. Okay, once you've done that, okay, finish the whole question 2, you can raise your hand and then we'll check number 2 again. When you are talking about the S, please ignore the negative sign. Please raise your hand if you finish number 2. Okay, Sophie, can I check your story form?
I got y over 2/3 equals absolute value negative x.
Yep, very good. Okay, so the negative x, the negative, you can keep it there, or you can write it as x over -1. It doesn't matter because there's no other number, right? The 2/3, however, you need to move it, right? To under there, under the y. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish the stories. That story form is correct. If anyone has questions about how to get that form, You can raise your hand. Not raise your hand. You can turn on your mic and ask me. Okay, but please raise your hand if you finished writing the answers here. Make sure you spend some time memorize the rules, okay? Number under X, what happens? Number under Y, okay, number greater than 1, number less than 1, okay? Ignore negative, don't forget that, that's important. Also reflections. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish the R and S. Okay, Jenny, which part are you on?
I'm figuring out the reflection and the S.
Okay, let's start with the reflection. How do you figure out reflection? Jenny, how do you figure out reflection?
Whichever side has the X, you reflect the other one. So since the negative is with the X, I reflect it over the Y-axis, I think.
Yeah, very good. Reflect over Y-axis. And you're done, okay? And then move on to S. So how do we tell the S, Jocelyn? What do you look at? Jocelyn, are you there? Yeah.
You look at the fraction.
Which fraction? Can you tell me the number?
2/3.
Yeah, okay. So that 2/3 is under,
Under the Y.
so what does that mean? What do we write?
So it's
Under Y, it will be
vertically
yeah. Vertically and then
compressed by 2/3.
how do you know it's compressed and not expand?
Because the fraction is less than 1.
Very good. Okay. Jenny and Marcus, do you guys get it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you got a form, okay, it shouldn't take more than a minute to answer these sentences. Okay, the hardest part is to get the right form, right story form. Okay, so if it takes a lot of time to finish the sentence, that means the rules you haven't memorized yet. Okay, so make sure you have to memorize these one. Number under X, number under Y, number greater than 1, number less than 1. Okay, these rules. But I think as you practice more, okay, you'll slowly remember it too. Okay, we have one more over here. So same thing, please turn it into story form and write out the stories. okay, for R and S. And once you've done that, raise your hand. This one has more stuff. The F, right? F is just saying it's a function in general, okay? So the F, you can think of it, okay, it could be absolute value, right? Or it could be square root, or it could be square, it could be cube, right? It's just saying that it's in general, any function. That's why they use the F. So whatever that's in the bracket is with the X, okay? Whatever that's before the F, right, outside the F, then that's movable, okay? That's how you tell. Because later on, right, in other chapter, you'll see other functions, okay? So they use this notation to represent it can be any function. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish this one. And for the decimal here, the 3.5, you can leave it as decimal or you can change it to fraction if you like, doesn't matter, okay? Okay, let's check the story form. You should be done the story form by now. Callum, what's your story form?
Y over negative 3.5 is equal to f of x over negative 5.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so once you have that, you're more than half done. Okay, once you finish the story, please raise your hand. Okay, Marcus, can you tell us the R?
Doesn't it reflect over the y and x?
Okay, so both axes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. You have a negative on the Y, so reflect over x-axis, right? You have another negative on the X, So it reflect over y-axis. So when you answer on the homework, this is what you can write down, okay? All right, Evan, any trouble on the stretching? Okay, can you tell us your stretch?
For the y part of it,
Mhm.
it'd be vertically expand by 3.5.
Vertically expand by 3.5, yeah.
And then for the x part of it, it's
Mhm.
horizontally expand by 5.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so both of them are expanding because what? Why is it both expanding? Evan, still you.
Oh, it's because it's all bigger than 1 and you ignore the negative.
Very good, very good. Okay, so even though they are negative numbers, but when you talk about stretching, remember you got to ignore the negative numbers and the negative sign, okay? So just look at the 3.5 itself. It's bigger than 1, so it's expand. Okay, so I think you guys are ready, right, for the questions in the notes. Okay. So let's go to here. Here we have 6 of them. Each of them represent a different family, different basic, right? So change to story form. That's the first thing, right? Change to story form. And then describe the transformation. So that means you write out the R and S. Okay, so first thing you need to identify, okay, this one is the absolute value, right? Absolute value. Okay, and then B has to do with which of the basic? Nick, what do you think? For question B, which basic are we dealing with? We have
Rational, like a rational function. So
yes, very good. Okay, and the rational one. So if you look at the form, okay, let's go back to here, right? The basic is this one, right? Y equals to 1 over x. So you need to have a 1 over, right? So for that one, your form that you want to change to, it will be the y part equal to 1 over x part. Okay, you need to identify the basic form that we want. All right, for C, what kind of basic we have, Jenny? What kind of function?
Is it? I'm actually not sure. Sorry.
For this one, question C has to do with which of the 6 basic?
Is it radical function?
Yeah, you have a radical, so it has to be radical function, right? So your form that you want to change to, it needs to look like y equal to radical something. Okay, so anything that's movable, you need to move it. Anything inside, you need to also do some change. Okay, when you start, the first thing is to identify, right? Which basic are we dealing? Okay, question D. Which basic? CZ, clear Z?
Sorry, what was the question?
The question is, question D, for question D, which of the basic does it have to do with?
I'm not sure.
Did you understand ABC?
Sort of.
Okay, question C, which basic does it have to do with?
Mm, The
Question C is it has a square root sign, right?
yeah,
So it has to do with which one?
the x.
Do you see on the screen? You have 6 basic functions.
Oh, the radical.
Yeah, you pick from here, okay? 1 to 6, which one does each one match? So like question A, which one does it match?
The absolute value.
Very good. And question B,
Mm, The rational.
yeah, I guess you were somewhere else, huh? Okay, how about question C?
Radical.
And what do you think question D is now?
Exponential.
There you go, okay? So you have the y part equals to, what's the base here? That's still you, don't turn off your mic. What's
2.
the 2, yeah, so it'll be 2 to the x, okay? You want to somehow do some change? Okay, and then question E, Philip, which of the basic?
Um, question E.
Yeah, a bit different, right?
Yeah. I don't think it really counts as. I mean, it could be any of them because it's function, right?
Very good, very good. Okay, so the f, if you want to change the form, it will be just y equal to f of something. Okay, so f could be square root, could be absolute value, could be exponential, anything. Okay, the last one. Okay, Marcus, this is a challenging one. What do you see here? What's the last one about? You
Would be,
recognize the symbol, yeah?
um, would be bracket, and I don't know,
Yeah, bracket, and then
equals f, the power -1, and then when you bracket,
yeah, what does that little -1 mean? You remember?
oh, I don't remember.
Does anyone remember that -1?
Inverse.
Inverse, okay? This one is not exponent, okay? Inverse, where did we learn that? We learned it in the last chapter, okay? Let's go back. Right here. Where is it? Page 8. Okay? Page 8. You can look at your book. The -1 is not exponent. It's a symbol for inverse. All right, and for inverse, that means you get a reflection as well. What kind of reflection for inverse? Eric?
It's y equals x, like
Yeah,
on the line.
okay. Very good, okay? Reflect over y equal x, diagonally, right? So you look at the red and green graph, right? We have these kind of questions, okay? So later on, okay, the last question is a little bit different from any of the other ones. Okay, you guys can put a star on this one. That should be question F. Oh, I missed the F. Okay, so that one has the inverse. So I'll let you guys start. You can do, let's do 2 questions at a time, okay? So question A and B first. So change the form and write the R and S. Once you've done A and B, you can raise your hand. both A and B, okay? Raise your hand after A and B are done. And if you are, if you want to move on, you can do that, okay? Please raise your hand when you finish A and B. We'll go over those two first. Just do your best, okay? If even if you don't think it's correct, just try it out, and then you can correct later if it's wrong. Okay, I think we can check the story form for A first, right? By now you should be all done question A. Okay, Angela, what's your story form for A?
The equation or like the
Equation.
y equals x over -2.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so the -1/2, the 1/2, you need to move it under, right? It's with the x, you need to move it under. If you move it under, you need to flip it, right? Reciprocal. So it becomes 2, right? 1/2, if you flip, it becomes 2. So you have -2 at the bottom. So you are just rewriting the look, right? You are not changing the question. It's still the same question. Half x is the same as x over 2. Negative, you can put it under or put it on the side, doesn't matter. Okay, let's check the story for it. Jocelyn, what's the story? What's the R?
Reflect over y-axis
Because how do you know it's over y-axis?
because the because the x part is a fraction
Because you
and
need
then
one negative.
x is on top.
Yeah. for reflection, you need to find a negative sign. You see negatives? Justin, do you see any negative?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you see the negative?
On the 2
So is it with the X or with the Y?
with the X.
Okay, so negative with X, what happens?
Reflect over Y axis.
Yeah, okay, so negative, the reflection has nothing to do with the 2, okay? You have to just look at the negative sign, look at where it is. Okay, for the S. Sophie, what's the S?
Sorry, is my mic working now?
Yep, it's working, very
Okay.
good.
I have horizontally expand by 2.
Yeah, horizontally. Okay, you guys can, on the homework, right, you can also use abbreviation, right? You can write HOR. I would understand it's horizontal, right? Horizontally expand by 2. Okay, so you, yeah, Eric,
I think Philip's computer died. He just sent me a message.
what, say that again?
Philip said his computer died.
Who?
Philip.
Philip, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think he will log in again then. Okay, thanks, Eric. Okay, and question B. Okay, Marcus, what do you think? What's the form?
Y equals to X to, I actually know, I don't know.
Not sure about this.
No.
Okay, let's how about you, Lily? What do you think the story form for B?
I didn't get the story form for B.
Okay, so what's the difference of the question with the basic right now? What's the biggest difference that you see?
The X is at the bottom.
Yeah, the basic also has X at the bottom, right? Because the basic is like Y equal 1 over X. That's a basic. So what's the difference? How is the question different from the basic?
The numerator is a 2.
Yeah, very good. What else is different?
And there's a negative sign.
Yes, so those are the things that we need to do the moving. Okay, so does anyone have a story form for this one? Any volunteer?
Jason,
Yeah,
I think I got y over -2 equals 1 over x.
Y over, let me write down. Y over -2 equals 1 over X.
Yeah.
Okay, so you move the -2 to the left side, right?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
So I first I divided by like the negative, and then I divide by 2 on both sides.
Okay, so basically you divide both sides by -2 then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if we show the steps, right? Y equal to -2 over X. If we divide, okay, let me do that. Okay, here's the original question. If I divide both sides by -2, right? The left side also divide by -2. Okay, it divide the same thing on both sides. Then your left side will look like y over -2. The right side, when you divide by a fraction, it'll be the same as times 1 over -2. So the -2 cancels out. So you're left with 1 over x. Okay, so you have y over -2 equals 1 over x. Because your basic form, you need to have 1 over something, right? So you need to get rid of the -2 somehow. So what he did was divide both sides by -2, okay? So now we got our form. Okay, Marcus, did you understand? And Lily, how we get the form?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Marcus, can you tell us the story now for the reflection?
Vertically expand by 2.
Reflection first, reflection.
Reflect over the y-axis.
Yeah, reflect over
Uh,
axis.
y.
Why?
Oh wait, hold on.
Why is it y-axis? Look at the form, right? Where is the negative?
Under y.
So
Vertical.
the negative,
wait.
we're talking about the reflection right
Yeah.
now. Is the negative with x or with the y?
With y.
So
It's x-axis.
yeah, okay. Negative with y reflect over x-axis. Right, and then the s, Lily, how do we answer the s?
Vertically expand by 2.
Yep, so this one vertically expand by 2. Okay, you ignore the negative sign when you talk about s. Okay, let's move on to the next two, right? So C and D. You have a radical one. Radical we have done several times. Okay, finish C and D and raise your hand. Anyone has questions so far?
Yeah, for the C,
Mhm.
first thing that I did was multiply both sides by -3.
Multiply both sides by -3.
Sorry, divide.
Yeah, yeah. So what would it look like?
Y over -3 equals square root 3/2 times x.
Yeah, yeah. So far so good. And then what else you need to do?
And I'm not sure how to like continue solving that.
Okay, so our form has to be the y over something and x over something, right?
Mhm.
You have to have number underneath. So right now the y part is done, okay? You still have a 3/2 beside the x, which we need to deal with, right? So if you look at the example we did before, look at this page. This is the last question on page 20, right? There's a number beside the x. What's the number?
2.
Yeah, and how do we move it away? Where did we move it?
We moved it under the x.
Yeah, and it becomes
1/2.
1/2, right? And then I also gave you another example, right, over here. This one, right?
Mhm.
Okay, what's the number beside the x?
3/2.
Yeah, and how do we move it?
By dividing it.
Yeah, so it becomes
2/3.
2/3. Okay, when you move it to the other side, you need to reciprocal. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean reciprocal?
Yeah, just flip it.
Yeah, flip it around, right? So same thing here. If you have a number beside it, you need to make it reciprocal to move it under. So
Okay, but
here,
does the square root not affect that or no?
no, the square root just tells you that it belongs to the radical function family. So you just keep it as radical. Don't touch that.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
what's your story form then?
Y over -3 equals radical x over 2/3.
That's right, very good. Okay, so you just use that to answer your R and S. Okay, so the form that you want to get is always have a number under the Y, number under the X. So your X and Y, the variable are clean, okay? It just stay by itself in the numerator. Okay, please raise your hand if you finished C and D. Okay, does anyone else like to check the form or have questions? Okay, let's check the R, okay, reflection for question C. So Chris, what's your R?
Reflect over y-axis. Wait, I mean reflect over x-axis.
Yeah, it's very confusing, right? Okay. Reflect over x-axis because how do you tell?
The negative is with the y.
Yes, okay. So look at where the negative is. Negative with y, reflect over x-axis. Negative with x, reflect over y-axis. You gotta repeat it many times, okay, so you don't get confused. And then under x, horizontal, right? Under y, vertical. Greater than 1, expand. Less than 1, compress. Okay, I hope these sentences will keep ringing even after class when you are dreaming, when you're sleeping. Okay. S, stretching, shrinking. Okay, Susan, what's the S for question C?
Vertically expand by 3
Expand by 3, yeah.
and horizontally compress by 2/3.
Okay, how do you know it's compressed?
Because 2/3 is less than 1.
Very good. Okay, horizontally compressed by 2/3. Does anyone have questions about C? Anyone got different answers? And you want to ask why? Okay, we need to go over D now. Okay, the form for D. Still working on the form as we still have 5 people, right? Working on question D. Give you another minute. Raise your hand if you're done. Okay, Nick, what's your form for D, story form?
I wrote y/3 is equal to 2 to the negative x/2.
Yeah. The negative, you can leave it on the side or you can put it under, doesn't matter. Okay, I like to put it under so your x is clean, right? Stay by itself. The y is clean on the top. Does anyone have questions about how we get here? Okay, this is correct. Okay, that's the form. Once you get the form, R and S will be easy. Okay, please raise your hand if you finished writing the R and S. So this time, right, for exponential, your x part is the exponent, okay? The y part, as always, is on the left side. So the part that is not with the x will be the 3, right? Because 2 is the base, so 2 has to stay there. You cannot divide by 2 and move it over, okay? The exponent and the base, they are stuck together. Okay, Marcus, what's your R?
Wouldn't it be reflect over the y-axis?
Yeah, very good. Reflect over y-axis. And Eric, what's the S?
Is it horizontally, or no, sorry, vertically stretched by 3, and then I think it's also horizontally stretched by or expand by -2.
By horizontal
2.
extend by what?
Is it by 2?
Yeah, just by 2. Okay, remember the negative controls what?
The reflections.
Yeah, okay, so when you describe the stretch, the rule was ignore the negative, right? You pretend the negative is not there. That's for the reflection. Okay, now we have last one here. Okay, we won't do the inverse today. We'll just do question E. So same thing. This one has a F, right? So it will be in general, right? Any function. When you finish this one, you can raise your hand. The decimal there, if you like, you can change it to fraction first. It'll be easier to do the moving, okay? Okay, you should be done almost by now, right? So with all these examples to refer to, make sure you have it beside you when you do the homework. Okay, look for hints, right? If you get stuck, don't know what to do on the homework, you look through these examples, okay? Here we have absolute value, right? We have radical, we have exponential rational, and we also had squares, right? The square one is in the notes. Cubic is similar to square, right? So you have any of the 6 basic covered. Anyone has questions about E? Okay, Caleb, do you have the form?
No, I'm still trying to work on it.
What have you got so far?
Oh, for E,
Yeah.
I just have y over f is equal to negative.
Okay, F, you cannot move it. F is like square root. You have to keep it there. It's not a number. Okay?
If not, you can't move it at all because
You
negative.
cannot move it at all. Okay? Pretend that F is like a square root. Like that. Okay? So you cannot say, I want to get rid of square root and then divide by square root. That will look weird, right? Okay, then?
Yeah.
Okay, so F is a function. Represent any function. Could be square root, could be absolute value. It has to stay there.
Then it stays the same then?
Yeah, it will stay the same, but then inside, right? So the nothing moves over to the y side. There's nothing outside the function. But what about the inside? What can we
minus 0.5 moves to the bottom of
how
x.
do we do that? How do we do that?
X is x over minus 0.5.
When you move to the bottom, you cannot just copy it down. You need to do something.
Oh, divide it by negative 1/2.
X over negative 1/2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. X over. No. Okay. First of all, the negative 1/2. Where did you get that number from?
Because a negative 0.5 is just negative 1/2.
Okay, so first of all, you rewrite it as negative 1/2x, right?
Okay.
And then you want to move that number under. If you move the negative 1/2 to the bottom, what will happen?
You got to do it on both sides.
No, look at here. You have for question C.
Oh, it flips.
Yeah, you need to flip it, right? So 3/2, move it under, it will become 2/3. So what do we do here then?
Oh, you get x over negative 2.
Yeah, okay. You flip the negative 1/2, it will become negative 2. Okay, so that's the form we want to get. Okay, please complete the R and S and raise your hand. Once you have the form, should be easy to write out the R and S, okay? Eric, what's the reflection?
Over the y-axis, I believe.
Okay, reflect over y-axis. Jenny, the S?
Vertically expand by 2.
How do you know vertical?
Wait, oh no, it's horizontally because it's the numbers under the x.
Yes, very good. Okay, so just follow the rule, you'll be fine, right? And expand because, why is it expand, Jenny?
Because the number is greater than 1 and we ignore the negative.
Very good. Okay, so I hope everybody remember these rules. We put it at the bottom of each page, right? So make sure you also refer to these examples. So in the homework will be doing the same thing. Last time we did the green questions, right? These ones. So this week you finish the rest of them, okay? So each question you need to show me the story form and then write down the R and S. And the next time we'll do the last kind of transformation, okay? So make sure you get the R and S correct 100% of the time, okay? Because it's gonna affect everything else comes after. And those of you haven't handed in the homework, so Caleb and Jenny, okay, please stay after class to complete it, all right, before you leave. And otherwise, I will see you guys next week if you don't have any questions, okay? Have a great weekend, guys.
So homework is just everything that we haven't done yet, right? On
Yeah.
page 7. All right, thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Jason. Have a good week.
Bye, you too. Okay, so if you finish the homework, let me know. Okay, I need to check it over. And Caleb, do you have questions about the homework here?
No, it's just the green. I'm redoing the green ones, right?
Yeah, do the green.
Okay, then that should be fine. Okay, give me a second. I'll do it then.
Yeah, don't rush. Okay. Okay, Caleb, do you have questions?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Jason, I have a question.
Yeah, Jenny.
So for question 13,
Yeah.
you only wrote down vertically expand by 2, but wouldn't it be also horizontally expand by 1 or no?
If anything times it by 1, does it change?
No.
No, right? So we only get expansion or compression if it's bigger than 1 or less than 1.
So if it's 1, then it's nothing?
Yeah. So there you don't need to write anything for horizontal. So
Okay.
if either like neither the vertical and horizontal has number, like if only has 1, then for the S you just write none.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Jason, is it okay if you can expand out of the area so I can see number 23? Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason, I just finished. Should I hand it in to you now?
Yeah, please hand it in. I'll check.
Jason, you know which assignment this is again?
One is homework 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, it's handed in now. Should I stay here still or no?
Let me check first, okay? Let me see, hold on. Yeah, looks pretty good so far. Okay. Yeah, so for today's homework, the new one, you need to do the rest of them. So you're doing in a similar way, okay?
Okay, yeah, that should be easy now that I get it. Thank you so much,
And
Jason.
also like some numbers. So today also has horizontal, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the last homework 4, did you see my comment?
No. Sometimes I can't see them, but yeah, let me check again.
Because you handed in, right? Homework,
Yeah.
but it's incomplete.
Yes. I redid it last night. I'll hand it in by the end of today.
Okay, and
I'll try
also
to hand it in today or tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, also I posted the homework 4 answer. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay, so you can also compare your work with that too. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Okay, have a nice weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
Jason, I'm done as well.
Okay, have you submitted?
I'm about to.
Okay.
Okay, I've turned it in.
Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, so just do similar thing for the new homework. Okay.
Okay, what is the new homework?
The rest of the question on the same page.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. See you next week.
See you next week.
Yeah, bye.